Hello and welcome to the official kickoff of Total Drama Multiverse Season 3. So Total Villain Multiverse. I have been super excited for this one. I've been trying to promote it a lot more. If y'all haven't seen, I have polls running on my channel right now. Not just for normal Total Drama and Adventure Camp, but also for who you're rooting for Total Drama, Total Villain Multiverse. So I've done 5 parts so far. I did one with Alejandro, Heather, and Fiore. I did one with Afton, Sin, and Venom. They all have little themes. Like those 3, for example, were all the ones that appeared in Season 1 together. I did one where it was Bowser, Vader, and Harley Quinn because they're all super iconic. I did one with Daisy, Sasha, and Elmo because those are all people that have already played big lore parts before, or at least either competed or played really big lore parts. So yeah, I'm really excited. Now this is not going to be a game show episode, although it kind of is anyway, because while nobody's going to be actually going through the challenges or voting people out today, instead we're going to go through the rules because a lot has changed. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. So before we do get into that, I want to go a little bit deeper into our teams. Just because while nothing has changed, I just think that it would be good to. Also can fill out the runtime of this video since this one is going to be a little bit of a short one, but I want it to be at least 20 minutes. So we'll start with ladies first. So Heather. Heather was able to choose her team, and I can't bring her up here. There we go. And she didn't get to choose the name, though, so she doesn't like Heather's herd. But after reading about it, she decided to grab Daisy, Harley Quinn, Death, Malik, Mimic, Magica, and Darth Vader. Now, this isn't the order she got them, but the reason she got all these people was because she wanted to fly a little bit under the radar here, because she knows she's the queen of villains when it comes to Total Drama, but she doesn't want to put herself out there as a target too much against all these people that are like demons and stuff. So what she did is she caused a lot of drama by making these teams. And the main reason she did, or the main way she did that, is by putting Death and Malik together. Because Death and Malik don't like each other. She wanted to get Zomboss in too, but Alejandro, not wanting his wife to have all the fun, did take Zomboss. So these two hate each other, and even though they were working together in the finale. And then we have the Mimic and Magica, who are they're pretty good together, but they're a little bit of outcasts to these people over here. She thinks that she can try to do this dumb robot and this dumb duck. She can try to do what she did with Beth and Lindsay with them, maybe. Now, if that doesn't work out, she also brought in Daisy, as she learned that Daisy has already competed on Multiverse last season, as well as is trying to become a good guy and get some revenge, particularly on Malik. So not only does that put these two against each other, but also she can use Daisy to not only maybe help get out Malik, but to extort information about how Multiverse is going to go. Just because she is speaking from more experience, since she weighed 6th place, 7th place last season. So yeah, and then as for, I think that's everybody. Oh no, 2 more. As for Harley Quinn, she chose Harley to kind of be, this is what she's hoping, maybe or maybe not what's actually going to happen, but she kind of just wanted to get somebody super crazy. Again, wanted to get Toga, but Alejandro actually convinced her not to. We'll talk about that in a second. But she wanted to get somebody super crazy and insane to hopefully be really good at challenges, while also being weird enough to get voted out early. So she chose Harley Quinn, because remember, she hasn't actually met these people. She's only read their bios and stuff, which were written by Lauren. And then our last person here, which Lauren did interview all these villains who were originally trapped in the rift area that Sky had made, the rift cage. But we'll go into those specifics here in a second. So Vader. Vader, she kind of just chose because she knows Vader is extremely smart and knows that she can maybe work with Vader, or she can blame Vader for one big move she makes and she can get Vader out. Now, you can see here that Heather's really playing the game and she really wants that wish that she's going to get. Um, but everyone else is kind of they would be mad at her for putting them against each or putting them all in the same team, but they're more just mad at each other. So yeah, you have a very dysfunctional team here, but she already thought about that, and she realized that even though it's dysfunctional, she still has Death, Malik, and Darth Vader on her team, so it's not like they're in a bad spot when it comes to challenges, since those are all really strong people. But let's see if Alejandro's team can beat that. We'll go over Fiore's last. So Alejandro, he opted for a bit of a different approach. He wants to kind of run it back a little bit similar, kind of an adapted version of his Season 3 strategy, his World Tour strategy, where he wants to kind of get in good with a lot of the contestants. However, he also decided that he doesn't want to flirt with that many people because Heather is actively on the island and his wife now, and they are in a true relationship. But through a lot of talking and trust between the two, Heather allowed Alejandro to pick Toga, someone that Alejandro is going to try to make fall in love with him, because even though it'll be creepy, and even though Heather will definitely have to stay away after that, hopefully this can make Toga a unwavering asset to Alejandro that he can get out if things get too dicey, because she is pretty insane. But she's not the only insane person that he chose, because he also chose a lot of dudes that he wants to get in good with as well. Mainly Andreas and Bowser. We'll talk about the other insane two in a second. So Andreas and Bowser are two kind of big dumb idiots, but they can lock in when they need to lock in. Like they're lovable guys, but they will kill you. This is kind of, I think I said this last time, but Bowser is kind of like a little bit more serious version of the Mario movie Bowser, while Andreas is still full in villain mode. He is nowhere near being redeemed. He still has the core talking to him through his crown as well, which, if you haven't seen Amphibia, there will be more explained on that once we get to deeper into the season. Now, when it comes to these two, Alejandro, we'll talk about Zomboss first, actually. So Zomboss is the main villain of the show, and also the smartest person. Unlike the actual Zomboss, and in the games, this version of Zomboss is genuinely like a strategic mastermind, a technological genius, a extremely good asset to have on your team to win challenges. However, he also believes that he is going, and we'll talk about this as well. But the three team leaders have been also tasked with trying to make the villains hate each other as much as possible, so that they don't try to group up and overthrow the show and then try to take over reality again. So he thinks that it'll be possible to make a lot of people hate Zomboss once he needs to near the end of the pre-merge section, which is his goal, so that Zomboss can get eliminated, hate them back, because Zomboss does have a huge ego, which y'all have seen, and then make them hate each other. As for Afton, so Afton is mainly and also he took Zomboss because he didn't want Heather to have all the fun. So Afton was mainly taken by Alejandro because of how Fiore was acting, choosing a bunch of people, and he kind of panicked. You see, Alejandro and Heather are still huge assholes, right? They're still themselves, but they do genuinely, like, they've mellowed out a little bit, matured a little bit, and they do genuinely not want a child to be put with a child murderer. So once Fiore starts going crazy and starts adding a bunch of super dangerous people, because of stuff we'll get to in a sec, to make sure this doesn't happen, Alejandro takes Springtrap. But he has a few ways to deal with Afton. I'll say William, I'll say Afton, I'll say Springtrap, whatever I call him. Now, as for these two at the end here, so Sloane is kind of a version of Heather's strategy with Daisy, but a little bit different. Sloane is someone that knows all this multiverse stuff extremely well, and again, we'll go through her backstory with Jones throughout the season. But like she knows like she'd be the best one to figure out information and all that, and give him a lot of advantages. Now, Alejandro thinks that he can use Sloane, but in actuality, it may or may not be the other way around. So we'll see if that comes to bite him in the butt or not in the game or past the game. And as for Azula, he just kind of chose Azula because she has a low temper, so it'll be easy to frame her for something. And also she can be a really good challenge asset. But not too many other crazy reasons. So then we get to Fiore, who had a lot less of a defined strategy. So Fiore was encouraged by Lauren as well as Alejandro and Heather to take the easy people, the people that aren't too crazy. So this started with them saying, "Oh, pick Elmo," and she was ended up reluctantly picking Elmo, someone who, while mean and did burn down his whole reality with Afton. Another reason why Alejandro took Afton, because he didn't want Afton and Elmo to become an alliance and take out Fiore, because Heather, Alejandro, and Fiore made a pact to whoever makes it to the merge to help each other, because they know that as team leaders, or former team leaders at that point, they will have big targets on their backs. So he didn't want Fiore out. He took Afton and she got Elmo. Elmo's just weak and not really helpful, and also just annoying. So Fiore does not like Elmo. Then she kind of looked around and she tried to pick a few different people, and they were like, no. But she started to really piss off Fiore. But she ended up going with Sasha because Sasha looks like a really cool warrior goddess to her. But it turns out Sasha, and also she's read some of the moments of what Sasha's done, some of her feats, and was like, whoa, she's cool. But after meeting Sasha, she's like, oh, wait, no, she's lame. Because now, as of now, Sasha's kind of just in a depressed state, and kind of freaked out and traumatized a little bit in general. Because she was shot in the neck by her freaking best friend, or one of her best friends. After picking Rouge and Sonar, though, which both are people that she wasn't too mad about, but she didn't want to pick, as they were both, especially Sonar, is pretty stupid. She snapped, and she said, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. And she ended up picking the most dangerous person she saw, which was Sin. Now, Sin is easily the most powerful person here, but due to reasons we'll get to later, it's not going to be an immediate danger to Fiore. But this does actually freak a lot of people out. Now, seeing this is around the time where Alejandro takes Afton, and she ends up taking Venom and then takes Zombie Wanda. Whoops. So after taking Zombie Wanda, everyone is done, and Fiore is really, really annoyed. So now I'm going to get off the tier list, and I'm going to go through a lot of the big changes that are happening this season, because we've kind of revamped the game. We've added a lot of new cool stuff, and I think y'all are really going to be big fans of it. So let's get into it. Alright, let's get into the specifics of it. Damn, I sound like such a nerd. Okay, so our first slide will be explaining the island's new setup. So while we are staying on the Reality 37 island, the same one as last season, there have been a few new changes. First of all, each of the contestants sleeps separately in individual rooms. Each are specialized to monitor and subdue the inmate if necessary. Now, these aren't straight up prison cells. They are nice rooms. They even come with a TV and a phone that we'll get to in a second. But they are specialized. Like, for example, certain ones like certain ones like I'd say what's a good example? Like Elmo, for example. His will just like I don't know, bring out a tickle monster or something, and that's enough for him. But like Sins has the ability to spawn black holes, which yeah, that sounds very unrealistic. And while it is, they have so much resources and powers at this point, especially with Sky helping set up the season. Which, by the way, there's been like a month long, or well, I'd say like a 3 month long time jump between these seasons. They're able to do it. So then, where were we? So yeah, each are specialized to monitor. Villains are allowed to be out of their cells any time that isn't between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. Exceptions include Sasha, Fiore, Heather, Alejandro, and Daisy. So Fiore, Heather, and Alejandro are the team leaders. Sasha and Daisy are both redeemed. Now, Daisy still has to have a cross necklace on her as she has murdered Puss, and he's still a little crazy. So they still decided to put it on her just in case. Especially when people like the Mimic and Malik are on the island, they don't want them to get into Daisy's head, yeah. But more people can earn it in the future based off of good behavior and stuff like that, right? So that does work a little bit like a prison. Everyone is provided a phone that they can use to communicate with each other during night hours. This means that you can still strategize. You can have calls with multiple people or just with one other person. And since they need to be big so that all the rooms can do the subduing, you can't hear anyone like through the walls or anything. And unless you know like how to hack, you can't get into other people's calls. So meals are now provided by Six, the like 6-inch tall girl from last season, in the lunch hall since Chef is not there anymore. But they actually wanted to have a cook because like the second half of last season, everyone was just eating what random crap from the mess hall. So she learned to cook from her time in the Cooking Mama reality, and also they wanted someone that can be extremely strong to help subdue if any of the villains act up. They took a lot of extra precautions to allow Lauren to do this season. It took a lot of convincing, especially from Peely, who's the logistics guy. While one reboot van, as well as a few one of Mushroom Gardens, are on the island, killing anyone outside of a challenge or one other scenario, which we'll talk about later, will result with you being auto-eliminated and sent to the new max security prison ran by Midas and Reality Zero. Also, more on that later. This is also where players will be sent after elimination while they wait for the comebacks. The same exceptions from before still apply. They will just chill at the McLean Mansion like last season instead of going to that max security prison. So, yeah, it's still Reality 37. There's still the 3 mountains and that secret cave in the woods and the auditorium. And the cabins are still there, but the new prison cell is set up by them. The McLean Mansion, as well as the reality hangar, is all on the edge of the island. But the reality hangar is actually now going to be turned into something else, which I won't talk about yet, because they took the Zero Shard that was in the reality hangar and they put it in a place called the Vault again. That's something that we're going to get into deeper in the season. And instead, with all the other 0 point pieces, and instead now it's going to be turned into, well, I'm not going to say it just yet, but they don't really need it because there's already the Rift gun that Lauren has. So this is also where players will be sent. Yep. So yeah, that's pretty much everything for this slide. So we can now move on to our next slide, which is a very, very important one for the game show. This is the team leaders side. So I think I spelled Alejandro right, although that kind of looks wrong, but whatever. Alejandro, Heather, and Fiore are the team leaders, a new label that comes with a few perks but also a responsibility. We already talked about this, but their goal is to divide the villains as much as possible so they hate each other and won't work together ever again. After every elimination ceremony, they can send one of their teammates or themselves to this reality's version of Boney Island, which is the same as normal Boney Island, but just a bit more dangerous. where the three tributes must search throughout the night to find an advantage in the next challenge. Nobody can go twice in a row. Also, this is the only other place where murder is allowed. If the night ends and nobody's found it, there will be no advantages. I don't know why I put now there, but there will be no advantages given in the next challenge. If a team leader is eliminated, a new one will be democratically elected by the team. Once the teams dissolve and we hit merge, the team leader's abilities will be taken away. Instead, whoever wins, again, I put the wrong word there, but whatever. Whoever wins the challenge can either send themselves or another person to the island for a chance to find the ultimate idol. Speaking of that, okay, so I've added some pretty cool stuff, including the ultimate idol, to this as well in terms of idols and advantages. There will be a few different idols and advantages throughout the season. The first of which will be a basic immunity idol hidden around New Wawanakwa. The second is a team swap advantage hidden at Boney Island, which can be found at any time during the pre-merge. And when that happens, when you send somebody over there, if they find it, then they can use it to swap a member of one of the opposing teams with either your team or the other opposing team. So, for example, if Fiore finds it, she can swap Death and Toga to the other teams, or she can swap Death for one of her team members, like Zombie Wanda, or she can swap herself to one of the other teams and swap it back. So she can swap anyone anywhere, just only two people. So this also includes the team leaders. However, this will force the other team to elect a new leader and take away the swapped leader's privileges. A third idol is hidden at Merge. Hidden at Boney Island, this idol is extremely hard to find. This is because it is the ultimate idol. The ultimate idol is the strongest thing I think has been put in any game show I can think of. The strongest advantage, because when played, you become immune and take everyone else's ability to vote away. This basically means you can either auto-eliminate a person of your choosing outside of the person who has one immunity, or force a tiebreaker if you want to be a freaking Isabel from Disventure Camp. So, yeah, that is a absolutely busted item, but it takes a lot to get. Now, as for how people know this, Lauren simply told everyone. Well, she didn't tell anybody about the idol hidden around camp, but she said that there is the team swap advantage at Boney Island, and she said that at Merge she will hide the ultimate idol, and she explained how both of those work. So then we move on to what happens if you win. So on winning, this is a pretty short one because winning the game show will result in your cross being removed as well as being able to select one reality to live in for the rest of your life. So this does mean that most people will not be given a wish, except for 4 people, which we'll get to in a second. And depending on how Daisy acts, she might be able to get a wish, as well as others, but mainly Daisy's the one there. Because a lot of these people are someone saying they're doubting anyone's going to become like an actual good guy. But we'll see if that changes or not. But as of now, unless you're Sasha, Alejandro, Heather, or Fiore. Because in which case, you will just be given your wish. Now, I'm not actually going to say any of their 4 wishes, because all 4 of them are pretty plot relevant. So I'm going to be keeping their wishes a secret. At least for now. So then we move on to the final slide, which could have been super big, but I decided to tone it down since it's going to be a big thing throughout the season. So let's talk about Reality Zero. So Reality Zero is under construction, and it will be for a while. Updates will be given throughout the season, but as of now, all that's there that matters is Midas's prison, which we already talked about, and Jones, Hope, and Sky's house. Due to Sky's power, no villain has been able to cause the reality trouble, which means that even though we were going through some of the Chapter 5 seasons, but still on this map, but we were going through some of the Chapter 5 storyline in, like, for example, Season 1, after Sky was able to really harness her power and prove to her mom that she can do this last time, the Fortnite like actual chapter storyline that we've been going through in real life, that's no longer really happening. They still try, but it doesn't really affect anything. Due to Sky's power, yeah, okay, so meaning they can now leave the underground and travel to both sides of the island. They're renovating both sides with the help of the remaining residents, which are just people that like Fish Stick and Durburger, not people that matter. So right here is the Chapter 2 island. Oh, no, right here's the Chapter 2 island. Right here's the Chapter 3 island. And right here in the middle, you can see the Zero hangar. Now, on different spots on both islands, for example, right in the middle, where the agency used to be if you play Fortnite, is where Midas's prison is, while up here is a lot of tributes and like a huge graveyard and stuff for a lot of people that have fallen. Not in Total Drama Multiverse, but in real, in Fortnite lore. So people like the Seven, which you know are dead, as well as this, right on one of these mountains up here, is a small cabin with a deep underground base, which isn't in any way connected to all this stuff, which is where all the big lore stuff is hidden, like the 0 point, is where Sky, Hope, and Jones live. So, yeah, there will be a lot more talked about here as we get into the season, but for now, that is actually going to be the end of this episode. Guys, I am really trying to absolutely lock in on Total Drama Multiverse Season 3. I think Season 1 was good, but could have been a lot better. I think Season 2 was a great step in the right direction. I just realized I put reality with an E up here, so maybe we're not doing as good as I thought, but overall, I think Season 3 is going to be the best season yet. Season 4 is going to be very interesting as well. And then, guys, y'all aren't ready for Season 5, the grand finale. And then, after I remake Season 1 and maybe Season 2, I may or may not have a spin-off This Adventure Camp multiverse ready to happen. So, before all of that, I cannot wait to catch y'all on Friday for the first game show episode of Total Villain Multiverse. See ya!